Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, college football fans. Are there any Columbus Blue Jacket fans left? All kinds of fans across the golf fans. We're going to talk about the Masters a little bit. Across the nation and around the world. This is the Tim May Show, usually featuring Clay Hall, but today we're going to double down with Double D. Dillon Davis has become an intermittent fixture on the Tim May Show just because I like him. We play golf together. By the way, Paul Spahn reports he's ready to go next week. Probably by next week. He's had quite the up and downs, so to speak. You know Moose as well as I do, but he's ready to play some golf again. What a saga that guy's had over the last 6 weeks, capped by his wife falling the other day because of their dog and breaking bones in her leg. And golly, it never stops. I'm not moving in over there if my wife kicks me out. That's for damn sure. Dillon Davis, welcome back to the Tim May Show, my friend.
Always happy to be back. Thanks for having me. Yes, I've become an intermittent fixture, as you said, but always enjoy it. So,
do you like that double down with Double D thing I just came up with?
So I don't know if that's copyrighted, but I'll probably end up stealing that from my own show.
No, steal it. Steal it. I came up with it. I'm creative. No, I'm just joking. But the bottom line is, we're going to talk today because you and I both playing golf this afternoon after we get through with interviews at Ohio State. And I was going to, if we did this show after the interviews at Ohio State, we wouldn't be playing golf. You see where I'm going with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But we're trying to beat a weather front that's going to be coming in later today, ladies and gentlemen, to the central Ohio, greater Columbus area. I think we'll do it unless we get behind some freakies on our chosen golf course. But I digress. Bottom line is Ohio State's into its basically coming to the end of the next to last week. It's penultimate week of spring football and headed for the spring game on April the 18th at noon, pretty much in Ohio Stadium. Is it Ohio Stadium or the Ohio Stadium?
It's just Ohio Stadium.
Yeah, no, I'm just
oddly enough.
Yeah, oddly enough.
For now, pretty soon it'll be Ohio Stadium presented by Giant Eagle. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I shop at Giant Eagle, man. I like Giant Eagle.
I like Giant Eagle as well, but when that naming right happens, whatever it may be, nationwide, Wendy's, Roosters, whatever the case may be.
Hey, Giant Eagle this could be the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall with occasional appearances by Double Down with Double D, brought to you by Giant Eagle. That'd be fine with me.
I spend a lot of money there, so
I do too, man. Just give me some rebate.
Yeah.
That'd be all I'd be looking for. But yeah, we're going to talk a lot about Ohio State spring ball, but mainly I like to have you in because I like to see what you're seeing. I like to feel, get a feel for what you're feeling about this team at this point and stuff. And so we'll get to that in a minute. And matter of fact, you'll hear me play it in a little minute. I asked Ryan Day about, when he's standing out there at Student Appreciation Day, and what is he watching? When he's standing behind the line, like I'm just back behind him. That's what's cool about that practice. And I'm just curious about what he's watching. He has a really funny answer to that. And we're going to play more of. I also asked him about what he thought about James Smith so far. And of course, James Smith and John Walker, those two defensive tackles they brought in from the portal. James Smith from Alabama, John Walker from UCF. They both lost their black stripes. Even though they're upperclassmen, they still had to prove themselves capable or worthy of being called a Buckeye. But they both lost their black stripes, which means they're counting on them to play right now, right away, meaning headed for the season. And I had been promising people on this show now for a week and a half I was going to play this James Smith interview that we did with him back a couple of weeks ago. And I cannot find it. I can't find the micro disc. I've got to apologize, but I do have Ryan Day addressing James Smith, how he's come on, but others have come on, but you got to, you're working toward consistency. Anybody can flash. And so we'll play that in a minute. But before we get started about talking about Ohio State football and maybe a couple other things, yes, I think I hear at least, in the distance, taps for the 2025-2026 Columbus Blue Jackets. Dude, they're playing to try to get into the playoffs, and they throw a goose egg, the bad kind of goose egg, the one where you don't score and the other team scores a lot. 5-0 to Buffalo on what was that, Thursday night. Is it over? It'll take a miracle now, won't it?
Yes and no. Like, I mean, it's not over because oddly enough, the Jackets' best path to the playoffs is now to just get that last spot in the Metro Division. Like the wild card seems like it's probably not going to happen for the Jackets, but oddly enough, like they're still only 2 points behind Philly, I believe, for that last spot in the Metro. Look, last night was a very, another disappointing result and a long line of disappointing results for the Jackets. There's no two ways about it. As anybody who watches the show knows, like I'm not a Jackets fan, but like I still, obviously living in Columbus and being a big hockey fan, I'm well aware of, how things are going for them. To come into that third period down a goal, 1-0, everything right in front of you, coming off of a major win that they were coming off of, like you have a chance to get another massive 2 points. And then that third period was an absolute debacle. And to shoot the puck 37 times, to get 37 shots on net, and not be able to beat a rookie goaltender. Colton Ellis played fantastic last night for the Sabres, and good on him. But like just a very, very disappointing is almost not even a strong enough word for what the Jackets did in that third period. But then again, somebody has to make the playoffs, in the East in terms of that last Metro spot in the wild card. And, it seems like anytime somebody loses and you feel like all is lost and you look around at what else happened that night in the NHL and say, oh, okay, well, nobody else took a step forward.
Right.
And so
it's like everybody's in full retreat.
Exactly. So
to keep with that Blue Jacket military pun.
The Jackets are right there. And look, I keep on looking at that game on
Are
Sunday.
they right there though, man?
Yes, they are. They really are.
No, I mean, are they?
Yeah.
Psychologically, are they there?
That's the thing is like,
it's like crazy.
I know a lot of Jackets fans hearing that might roll their eyes and say like, well, what does it matter? And I get that to some degree, but I guess at the end of the day, for all these lumps that the Jackets keep on taking to still have a chance, a very real chance.
Yeah.
And I keep on looking at that game on Sunday. The Bruins are back in Columbus on Sunday. And the Bruins themselves have not clinched their playoff spot. They can clinch it on Saturday with a win over the Lightning, but the Lightning
get that X.
Yeah, but the Lightning are still fighting for I think the second spot in the Atlantic Division. So so like they still have a lot to play for. So the Bruins might be coming into that game Sunday as well, still looking to clinch their own playoff spot. So once again, we find ourselves with a potentially massive Bruins Jackets game in Nationwide on Sunday.
Are you going, by the way?
You're dang right, I'll be there. Yeah. Of course I will.
This guy, speaking of lightning, this guy's like a, what do you call those things? That you put on the top of houses, lightning
rods.
Lightning rods.
Yeah.
This guy's a lightning rod. He wears his Boston Bruins regalia to when they come to town, when they play the Blue Jackets. Remember I told you, be careful going to your car the other night after that colossal. By the way, that pretty much, since that game, I mean, the Blue Jackets have, except for one overtime shootout win.
Yeah. That's why.
I mean, that marked that third period against the Bruins. That marks the start of the Avalanche, doesn't it?
And I think that's why last night was probably so disappointing for Jackets fans and the Jackets in general, because like it felt like that. It felt like the Bruins, that loss to the Bruins, choking that lead away, really started this avalanche for them. And then they go get that shootout win against Detroit that they had to have. Yeah. And you think, okay, well maybe they've put that to bed finally. And then the next time they come out on the ice, like they get beat 5-0 and give up 4 goals in the third period, and and can't get a puck past a rookie goaltender on 37 shots. So, I don't know what to make of them. I'm not going to sit here and tell Jackets fans they should have a lot of hope, but at the end of the day, they are still in every bit of a playoff race right now with a few games to go.
No, forget about everything else that's happened, right? Yep. It's still in front of you. Yep. We'll see what happens. I didn't mean to be so coy there, but I just smart alecky, but I've been very disappointed by the effort more than anything else. And consistent effort is what's been lacking.
It seems like there's a real lack of leadership on that team. I don't think anybody who's just even mildly paying attention. I know how Blue Jackets fans feel about Boone Jenner right now. And just like from, obviously it's got to start there. If you're going to wear the C on your chest, like it's got to start there. And it just seems like there's a real lack of leadership on that team.
We'll come around.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Still waiting.
Yeah, you'll come around next year.
I'm going to say when he's on a different roster next year, he'll come around, I guess.
Yeah, so exactly. But anyway, that is what it is. Number 2, this time a week ago, the White House or whatever threw out its executive order in regards to college athletics. This week, through Ross Dellinger and it's funny how the NCAA will float things out there with certain media members and see how it floats. We've already discussed, what came out of the executive order, which, by the way, probably has already, but will be challenged legally in all kinds of ways of how to get a wrangle on major college sports, especially football, the transfer portal, et cetera, limiting one transfer portal opportunity per player to move freely. The second time you got to sit out a year. That will be challenged immediately as soon as anybody tries it. But this idea that there'd be an age limit on not just a participation limit of 5 years to play five, or 5 years. Still, I think it's 5 years to play five, as opposed to 5 years to play four now. At least that's what they're. It's mind numbing because everything keeps coming out and keeps like throwing stuff against the wall and it drips down the wall.
I'll be the first to admit that I'm not up to date in
the
most recent happenings.
But should there be an age limit on college football players or college athletes, as has been proposed? Like I said, it was thrown out there into the wind to see if the wind would catch it or blow it down. And what if somebody threw out an example the other day? What if you join the military and you have a 4-year hitch, and you come out of the military and you're 23 years old, 22 years old, 23 years old? Should you be denied the right to play college athletics because of your age? Because there's a big difference between an 18 and a 20-year-old. But there's really not that big a difference between a 20 and 25-year-old, except for maturity, meaning just how you handle your business.
Right. But physical growth wise,
You could argue that there should be an age minimum going to college now of 20 after you've learned how to, maybe balance your you don't balance your checking account anymore, but handle money, because you'll be handling money if you're playing major college football or basketball now. But just where do you come down on that idea that there could be an age limit? Because obviously, what is Earl Little Jr.? Is he in his 5th year? I'm trying to remember.
He was in the 2022 recruiting class.
Right. So the 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. He's in his 5th year. Yeah. But I mean.
Yeah, because 2 years at Bama, 2 years at Florida State.
This year, so. My point is, should there be an age limit for college athletics as long as you meet the eligibility requirements?
I have a hard time buying into this blanket statement or rule, if you will, that this is the age limit for college sports, because as you just mentioned, it's nuanced. Like there are circumstances where it makes total sense that a guy might be 25, 26 years old and playing college football still. You mentioned the military academy. What I do know is that the moment that, I guess I don't know through what avenues, but if they try to make some kind of rule where you have 5 years to play 5 seasons, and you have circumstances or, just particular one-off situations just like this, I mean, it's going to be challenged to all hell.
Well, that's how the 5th year came about, was guys losing an entire season without, but because they were injured and stuff. And
what about medical red shirts?
Yeah, medical red shirt. Now it's like just, whatever.
Yeah. I in the spirit of the rule, I totally agree with it. I'm tired of seeing 26-year-olds who just don't want to go get a damn job.
Yeah.
But
but if you could help that football team and you're eligible,
true,
and you have eligibility, that's the point. They're working on the eligibility aspect of it now, and from what we're talking about, the restrictions, I don't know where we're headed with this whole thing, man. It's crazy.
And that's the point. And I agree with you as well. If you can help the football team, then who's to say that you shouldn't be on that football team? I guess it's just another step to get us so far removed from the heart of college sports and what it should be. And I hate to play the get off my lawn card, because I've always been a proponent of paying athletes what they're worth and what they deserve. But this would be another step to just get us so far away from what the spirit of college sports is. And so I struggle with that part of it. Not to say that it's not the right thing to do. I don't know.
Now here's another one. We got to talk to Jeremiah the other day, Jeremiah Smith. And, I think near the end of the interview, we talked about his opportunities that were there. And when I pressed him on it, he talked about this one team, you probably know who it is, but I'm not going to say the name, et cetera, that wanted him bad, but he stuck around to play at Ohio State for his 3rd, probably final season, barring injury. What a spectacular, player. And I like him as a young man too.
Exactly.
although he's not a young man anymore. He's going on 20 or 21.
21, yeah, still, yeah.
My point is, I think it was Chris Lowe with On Three. He enlightened or opened up the book a little bit and said basically it was somewhere around $10 million. Here's my question. Number one, do you believe that? Because why wouldn't you believe it? He said it. Why would he just make up that number? But number two, what do you think he's making at Ohio State? But number three is what I really want to get to. Is any player other than just a can't miss quarterback worth $10 million for a season to play college football? Is anybody worth that? A wide receiver that touches the ball on a good day 9 or 10 times in a game, usually 6 or 7. Is that person worth $10 million?
Yeah, so I guess the first part of that is I don't know exactly what Jeremiah Smith's NIL deal is at Ohio State. I don't know that exactly.
Nobody does.
But I have every reason to believe, I'm sure there are some people that do.
Well, I don't know. Nobody said it.
You mentioned some things get leaked out from, places to let it see how it floats. And that's no different than college football programs.
Yeah.
But that's not here nor there. I don't know what that number is. I have every reason to believe that it's north of $10 million that he turned down, from those other places that shall not be named. But look, he's obviously getting paid very well at Ohio State as well. He didn't just turn down $10+ million.
Oh yeah,
to take $5 million from Ohio State. So whatever that number is, it's.
Do you remember a couple of years ago he made some kind of comment and somebody asked him a question. He goes, that's above my pay grade.
Right,
and I followed up with, what is your pay grade?
Right, and is it really above? To your question about, is a receiver or anybody that's not just a can't miss, future first round drafted quarterback worth that kind of money? I guess the only thing I would say to that is, you're worth what people are willing to pay you.
Oh yeah, agreed.
So, for me, I guess if you look at the NFL, the way that receivers are paid in the NFL and the impact that a top notch true number one receiver can have in the league, I would say yes, absolutely. And especially a guy of JJ's caliber where
but everybody else is making, the quarterback's making more than that in the NFL.
Sure. Well,
my point, I'm talking about a guy, I'm not knocking Jeremiah. I think he's as great as I've seen at Ohio State.
Right.
It's either they're different levels of wide receivers who did different things but made huge impacts. My point is a guy that only touches the ball 8 or 10 times a game worth that kind of money anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in college football.
I get, yeah, no. So I would say to that, if you told me I could have one of Justin Fields or Jeremiah Smith at, however much money, I'm taking Justin Fields every time, without a doubt. that's just the quarterback position. It's the most important position in all of sports to that particular sport. And so, I'm absolutely taking the quarterback in that. So, with that being said, Ohio State doesn't find themselves in that situation, but certainly if you're in a situation where you have this much, you have X amount to spend and you can spend it on this quarterback, or you can go get Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith might be the greatest Buckeye of my generation, my entire life, and that's saying so much. I would still take the quarterback every time because he just impacts a game more than a receiver that gets, like you said, 8 touches a game.
Yeah.
That's if they get him the 8 touches too. So now you're really screwing yourself if you don't even get him the 8 touches.
Bingo. That's what I said about Ted Ginn Jr.
Yeah.
And he only averaged about 4.5, 5 touches a game from the line of scrimmage. What a waste.
Yeah.
What a waste that was. Now he's the head coach of the Columbus Aviators.
The Columbus Aviators.
Real quick, do you have aviator fever? I grew up being a huge aviation fan,
sure.
But
my dad's a big airplane guy as well. So.
Yeah, but do you have aviators fever?
I don't have aviators fever. I do want to get out and check out a game. That's something I'm absolutely looking forward to doing at some point. I don't know if it'll be this year, but I do want to go do that. I will absolutely support them, but it hasn't quite caught on yet. Frankly, I'm a little bit preoccupied with my other sports teams that are in important playoff races right now.
Did you expect more out of the aviators right out of the gate? Well, I guess is what I'm asking. 0-2 and getting blasted at home in their home opener.
Yeah, I believe that first game was against the defending champions, correct? So I'm not going to sit here and say I know a lot about the league, but
I'm not even sure what that means, defending champions of the UFL. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, but I'm guessing they're not. That's not bad then for to be defending champions. I'm guessing that roster's pretty solid. So
you won something. Go ahead.
To say that I expected this or that. I just haven't. Maybe I haven't bought it.
You had no expectations.
I didn't have any expectations
for spring football.
I just wanted to catch on. The only expectation I had was that fans in Columbus and Central Ohio and Ohio in general would show out for that team, and they did, and I'm happy to see that.
Yeah. It's 13,000. What was it? 13,000. Is that what is that a good number in your mind? Does that pay the bills?
I would hope so. Paying the bills. I don't know if it pays the bills. I don't know what, I mean, whatever it costs to light up, old historic Columbus Crew Stadium, I'm guessing is probably close to whatever they made in ticket sales. But
okay, this was the home debut. I'm not knocking. I'm just throwing these out there to you. I'm getting your take. Home debut of a brand new football team in historic Columbus Crew Stadium, and they get 13,000. Don't come close to filling up a 21,000 seat stadium.
Oh, is it that big? Maybe I was mistaken on how big this. I thought that was close to a sellout.
Well, I thought the number they put out was like 13,000. Now, if you saw I didn't go to the game, but I saw the videos of it, and it was nowhere near full. I mean, it was nowhere near close to full.
Well, maybe I retract my statement or my.
No, but I'm just saying that's your big jumping off point.
Well,
what game is going to bring them in next? You know,
well, maybe better weather. Well, I don't know what the weather is for that game.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. A walk-up crowd.
But at the end of the day, it's going to take.
I'm not knocking it. I think it's cool. It's opportunities for guys to keep playing football.
Yeah.
But man, it's just tough to get another league going that isn't college football or the NFL.
That's the bigger thing. Is like I don't have faith in the league staying power. So like when I sit here and say, do I have aviator fever, or what do I think about the team or the franchise? Like I don't really have a lot of belief in the staying power of the league in general. So I'm not really bought into what the Aviators did or didn't do. I hope it stays. I mean, anytime you can give football fans, and certainly there are a ton of them in Ohio and certainly in Central Ohio, more football, spring football.
Yeah.
Then by all means, that's great. That's awesome. Do I have my doubts that they're going to be here and, long term? Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah. Okay. We covered that. Now let's move on to something else. I didn't give you a list of things, but I thought I'd throw them off the top of my head.
I'm sharp, baby. So just throw them at me.
I like asking this occasionally. Who of Ohio State is Ohio State? Let's put it more in the way of a question, and I'll give you my input too. Is Ohio State going to have 4 or 5 players drafted in the first round in like a week and a half, 2 weeks from now in the National Football League draft?
I don't think K-Mac's going to get in there. I think it's just going to be 4. I think K-Mac will be just on the outside. He'll be one of probably the first 6 to 8 picks of the second round, which is still, doing very well for yourself. But I don't think he's going to get into the first round. So I think it'll be 4.
And who is going to be the first Buckeye drafted?
Arvell Reese.
And you say that with a surety, or just based on what you're? How would you? Well, I'm leading up obviously to something, because Jake Butt posted this the other day. He thinks Caleb Downs is the best best player, meaning overall everything he brings to the table in this draft, I think is what he said.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
I wouldn't either.
I would.
So and I've said that before on here. I just think, and I've said it on the radio, I think he is not going, barring injury, he's not going to miss.
Sure.
He's going to show up.
Yeah.
He's going to be really good at what he does. Arvell Reese, in my opinion, is still a project in terms of being an edge rusher. Okay. Or in terms of being a quasi, like a 3-4 linebacker, outside guy who can come in, step up 1 minute, step back the next. Where are you going to play him? Sonny Styles, in my opinion, is almost can't miss just on what he can bring. Hell, you can stick him back at safety. You can rotate him back in safety a few times. If you get that creative, like a Matt Patricia creative streak going. I think Carnell Tate's going to play a lot as a rookie and help you. So of those 4, did I name all 4 of them?
Yes.
Who do you like best?
So I agree with you. So I do think
which one of your kids do you like best?
Yeah, right. Caleb Downs. Like if you're asking me if I can have one of them to start my team, I'm taking Caleb Downs every time. I do think that Arvell Reese will be the first of the 4 taken, and certainly that's because of the position that he plays, or the positions he will play.
Yeah,
the flexibility
affects the quarterback.
Yeah, the flexibility that he's going to bring to a defense. You're absolutely right. Like he's still very raw.
Yeah.
As an edge rusher, as a guy, and I think obviously NFL teams see that, and that's exciting to them because they think about what hasn't been unlocked yet. But Caleb Downs is
that's what always intrigues me about the NFL draft.
Yeah.
We can we can make him into something.
Caleb Downs, though, is like absolutely the safest pick in terms of high-level talent, like the production on the field. And also, you don't have to worry whatsoever about how he's going to transition to the NFL. That guy will be ready to walk into an NFL locker room and be a leader and do what he has to do and take care of his business to put himself into position on the field to succeed. You don't have to worry about anything. He's the true definition of plug and play. There's nothing you have to worry about with Caleb Downs other than injuries, which everybody has to worry about.
Yeah, he'll learn your system.
Yeah, exactly.
Lickety split.
He might show up to camp already having your system down better than some of the veterans on that team. I mean,
correct.
He's that sharp. So I would take Caleb Downs if I'm starting any team of the 4 guys because he's that much of the complete package. But I understand why teams look at Arbel Reese and say, like, what we haven't even seen from this guy yet is, to say the least, tantalizing. And I get that because of that, his athleticism's off the charts.
Yeah.
At a position where, like, other than quarterback, it's probably the most impactful position.
I just like a guy like Caleb Downs, who from day one, he's going to be contributing.
Yeah.
You're going to show him some of the, I don't know what tricks of the trade you can show Caleb Downs. Here's the thing I keep saying about him, and we'll talk about this again, in a week and a half for the draft. But the thing about him is he does everything you want. In terms of being a pro, in terms of preparing, in terms of knowing what's up with the defense, but then he can go out and not just make the play. He likes to rock your world. Yeah. I mean, should that have been a late, remember when he had the one call that was called for hitting high or whatever it was, launching. What's the word I'm looking there for?
Targeting.
Yeah, targeting.
I remember. Yeah.
Probably should have been targeting.
Yeah, I think so.
He knows he got away. But the point is,
recall what you're saying. Yeah.
But the point is, he's got that mindset. Mm-hmm. I don't want to just get there and make the tackle. No, I want to leave my mark.
No, he truly plays downhill when he's coming up to the line of scrimmage. He brings.
I like that though.
Bad intentions. Well, yeah, of course you do, and that's everything you want out of safety because he can run. He's willing. He's going to seek out contact, and then of course he's his mental, acumen and his football IQ is through the roof. So he's everything. He's a complete package. And there are some mocks that have him falling outside the top 10, which is wild to me. Just wild. If you think about the teams that are picking outside the top 10, a lot of those teams are teams that, like, hey, just one or two things went wrong, kind of derailed the season. Maybe they punted towards the last half because they realized they weren't going anywhere. But for a team to add a Caleb Downs who maybe went, I don't know, 7-10, or 6-11 last year, and they're adding a Caleb Downs to your defense, maybe that, at that spot. Wow. What a get. Now that's if he does fall outside the top 10, but I've seen some mocks.
I think he helps any team he gets drafted by.
Sure.
Number one. Hey, we'll name this next couple of seconds of this episode, Knock the Mock. Okay. Or Mock Knock. What drives me crazy this time of the year, and has been for, like, I've been covering things for Ohio State football since '84, but means I've been covering before that I was covering the Browns and the Bengals from '79 through '83 at the Columbus Dispatch, and the BS that goes on leading up to the draft, but more the mock drafts are all about, hey, look at me.
Yeah, true.
Look at my mock draft. Right. Look where I put Caleb Downs. Look where he's going in my mock draft. See, and then you call up that guy and get him on your radio and show, and you go, why? He comes up with some BS reason. Right. Yeah. Well, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, like I keep going, if you're a smart NFL GM or coach, there is no safer draft pick in this draft. And I'm including Fernando Mendoza and everybody. I mean, they just signed, went out and got Kirk Cousins, the Raiders did, and paid him a lot of money. Well, them and the Falcons in a joint payment scheme. Sure. But there's no safer draft pick, in my opinion, in this draft than that one. And then number two, you know what I think is? Number two safest pick is Sonny Styles.
Yeah.
Because I think he can play for you immediately. And now he's a guy that's already shown you he can make plays, and he does have a ceiling he hasn't gotten to yet.
Yeah. Again, that's a perfect example, with Sonny. Still pretty new to the linebacker position in the grand scheme of things. He's been playing linebacker for 2 full years.
But he gets there in a bad mood.
And his size as well. Again, he has a linebacker body and runs like a safety. That's why they took so long to figure out what they wanted to do with him at Ohio State, because he ran like a safety, but his body just continued to scream more and more. this is going to be a linebacker. I know James Laurinaitis had the funny anecdote last offseason, whether I can't remember if it was fall camp or spring practice, about like, just let the guy eat a cheeseburger and he'll, he's going to be a linebacker.
Yeah.
And so,
a couple cheeseburgers.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, there's still a lot to be untapped with Sonny Styles, a linebacker. But you're right about, maybe not quite to the highest level that Caleb Downs is going to bring, I think, but like he's another plug and play guy that like he's going to handle his business. You're not going to have to worry about him. He's going to walk into rookie mini camp and handle his business and be willing to do whatever they ask him and work and make sure that by the time fall camp comes around or the training camp comes around that he's ready to go.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's another guy you don't have to worry about without a doubt.
Yeah. And well, anyway, hey, real quick, who's the guy? I mean, besides Davis and Igbinosun, who's the guy you got your eye on that you want to hear some buzz about one way or the other, just being in the draft from the Buckeyes?
Taiwan Malone.
Interesting.
I don't know if Taiwan's going to get drafted. I really don't. I haven't delved too far into the depths of like the later rounds and like where you talk about mock drafts. Some of these guys have the audacity to put out like 7-round mock drafts. Yeah, like, do the whole draft.
Good for them though.
I guess
because anybody can do a first round draft.
That's true, but like, how do you even begin to
So you want to show how much you know.
The funny thing about these mock drafts is like basically like you're scripting the draft based off your first 3 picks because so many things change off of like who's on the board or not.
Yeah.
So like you're basically it's such a crapshoot. But anyways,
wait, let me throw one quick thing in there before you keep that in mind. The way if I was a GM in the National Football League or an owner, first round, I want the best guy.
Agreed. If
I've already got a quarterback, but I think Fernando Mendoza is going to take me places, I'm drafting him.
Yeah.
Okay. If I've already got a safety and I feel pretty good about my defense, but I see Caleb Downs, I'm drafting Caleb Downs in terms of I want to, because ultimately those guys make you better. The first round is all about getting that unicorn. If there's a unicorn or two out there, get your hands on a unicorn because they change everything about your football team.
Agreed.
So that's the way I would approach it. A lot of these teams still draft in the first round based on need.
Yeah.
Believe me, if you got one of the first, barring trades and stuff that go on, and you end up with this draft pick because of that, whatever. But if you're drafting the first 16 picks, you need to get the best player out there because that guy's going to make your football team better 5 years from now as well as this year. That's the way I look at it. Now, go ahead. What was your point?
Just real quick on that. I'm almost always a proponent of drafting for best available.
Yeah.
If you need that position, if he can help you at all, whether you can move another guy that's already in position somewhere else, or if you can move him in general for assets back, whatever the case may be, if you have a guy who's very clearly your best available and he's there available for you, then take that guy.
That's why we play golf together, and we never disagree about who had what. Go ahead now.
Now, if you're splitting hairs between two guys here, and like hey, we have this guy and he's played at an all-pro level before, and we think he's still going to be that, and then this guy who would fill a positional need that you really, and then I get that obviously as well. Or even if this guy's like one just small notch above him, but like this guy really would plug a hole on the roster.
Yeah,
maybe you take that guy.
Yeah.
But in general, I am not taking what I think is the 12th best player in a draft. Because he fits a need over this clear number one who somehow fell to you at 3, and I'm going to pass him because this other guy. But going back to I don't know where Taiwan Malone fits in the draft. I don't know if he's going to get drafted. I don't know if he's being projected to be drafted. I don't know if he expects to be drafted. But it's just a guy we talk about untapped potential. Since he became a football only player and let go of the baseball thing, I just think he's gotten better and better over these last couple of years. Every time we talked to Ryan Day or Larry Johnson about Taiwan Malone, it was always the same thing. It always started with, well, since he became a football player, once we finally got him to let go of baseball, and we've seen more and more. The guy hasn't played a lot of football. He's not even ever really been focused on just football. When he has been, he's gotten better and better, and he helped Ohio State the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And then when you watch him in person, he stood out to me last spring, going into spring, he stood out to me. His athleticism at that size was impressive. He looked good at the pro day workout. Like, it's just a guy that, I enjoy talking to him. I think he's a good kid. I guess he's not really a kid anymore, but I think he's, he kind of is still as a kid. But I just think he's a good guy, and I think that like there's more untapped potential there. And for a guy who can move around at that size, I feel like that can help.
Correct.
An NFL roster somewhere.
If you watch this guy run the other day at the pro day, and I don't even know what he ran in his 40, but he was moving.
Yeah.
For a guy that large, those guys still don't come around very often.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, maybe a late round draft pick, but you definitely because you have seen him improve. You
Sure.
can watch video of him getting better, of Larry Johnson and Matt Patricia trusting him to play a little more, sometimes out of need, sometimes out of greed, meaning, hey, I think this guy can get us something. So I agree with you 100%. That guy is a real kind of sleeper dude. Where do you put Ethan Onianwa in that group?
That's a really interesting.
Here's what I normally throw my idea. I would be very concerned that Ethan Onianwa stepped from Rice to Ohio State, and because everybody looked like he was made for this arena, made for this stage, and did not step onto the stage. I'm trying to stay with my analogy and belt out an award-winning song. He was, if anything, the bright lights kind of like blinded him a little.
Wilted, let's call it.
So I see Ethan Onianwa and Tywan Malone going like this, in terms of just, are you going to get it together? But there's no doubt Ethan Onianwa fits the prototype you're looking for an offensive lineman, right?
That's what we all thought when he showed up in Columbus. Like, wow, this guy looks the part. He's a prototype tackle at Ohio State and a future first-round prototype, tackle.
Yeah,
he looks
the all airplane exit team.
Sure, he absolutely looks the part. I don't know how else to characterize, what he did or didn't do in his one year at Ohio State. Like he was given every opportunity in fall camp, to win that job.
Yeah,
right tackle, just couldn't do it. They tried to move him down the guard, to see if he can be a depth piece there. Just couldn't really do it. So I don't know how else to characterize that as any other thing than he was just overwhelmed by, like you said, the jump from Rice to Ohio State. And so how would I have a whole lot of belief that he's going to make the jump from Ohio State to the NFL and have a lot of success there?
Yeah.
And look, somebody's going to take a chance on him because of that size. If they think that there's any way that he can be developed into something, certainly already having the size, then they're going to take a chance on that. And rightfully so. I hope he does. I'm not rooting against him at all. I certainly have nothing against him. I hope that he gets that opportunity.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me my confidence level and why I think that he has a future in the NFL, how could you? I want to add one more thing real quick of this, and just Max Clare is criminally underrated. Nobody's talking about Max Clare. I know, like the tight end groups are always kind of hit or miss in terms of how deep they
Sometimes
are.
That's on purpose too.
Well, it's true. He might be the third rated tight end in this class, but whoever gets him as the third tight end drafted in this class, I think they're going to get a potential steal there because he still has, I think, probably a ways to go in terms of the physical element of being a tight end and blocking. You're going to have to do that in the NFL, but like more and more, like teams have tight ends who are just not really blockers at all. So you still have to some degree, but he's gotten better. He got better as a blocker last year as well. Don't get me wrong. But the Max Clare, the pass catcher, fits like the bill for what you see these impact tight ends being in the NFL. And I think if they're getting him as the third tight end taken off the board, I think that's going to be a steal wherever that falls. Third round, maybe second round. I don't know.
Well, dude, I feel the same way about Will Kazmarek because he did block.
Yeah, he will do that.
And he made some big catches down the stretch for Ohio State this last year. And so there's another guy I think is floating under the radar, but maybe not. A lot of times when you've got a guy, you're just hoping nobody else notices him.
Sure.
But I thought he had an excellent pro day workout. And but Max Clare, same thing. I mean, more and more tight end, the Tim May credo, nobody covers a tight end at any level of football on a consistent basis, because the main thing is you got a guy there that can give you an instant mismatch if you can get to him in your read tree. The problem when you're at Ohio State playing is Ohio State's usually got two or three great wide receivers running around who are open farther down the field. And so why do you look for the tight end unless you just purposely do it? But yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see where both of those guys go. As Keenan Bailey said, he expects both of them to be drafted. The probably the only school in America that's going to produce two draft picks at the tight end position. Hey, real quick, I wanted to ask you this. We were at the Student Appreciation Day the other day. Let's get to this real quick because we got to wrap it up. But it's funny because I'm standing right there, literally at times right behind Ryan Day while he's watching everything going in front of him.
I was standing right
exactly. And got my little camera on a stick. But my
great
point
shots,
is,
by the way. Sorry, those are great shots. I saw some of your clips from that. And
a
really
couple
cool
of
angle.
them. I got to figure out. People help me out there. Is there a way to add a telephoto lens to a GoPro? I mean, God, they look like they're standing on the other side of the county sometimes. When you but when you're up close, it's really cool.
Sure.
But I asked Ryan Day the other day at our press conference this week. I said, because I was watching him watch sometimes, and I'm going, What are you watching out there?
Yeah.
Are you seeing James Smith flash, through a gap? And I also asked him about James Smith here, in this same question, what they call a double D.
Double D.
I asked two questions at once. But what are you eyeballing? And it's really interesting, his answer. But it also was interesting because I was going back and looking through my videos. There were like 8 or 10 times when he wanted to just get right up.
Yeah.
Somebody's into their shoulder pads and let them know what's up. And he didn't do that. I mean, sometimes shake, but then he'd walk over and be really calm.
Yeah.
But that's not the way Ryan Day usually coaches as a head coach. I mean, he calls out things and wants mistakes fixed now, not 3 reps from now, et cetera. But let's just see what he had to say when I asked him about what does the head coach watch, because you're not the offensive coordinator, you're not the defensive coordinator, and when James Smith makes for example, cuts up and beats your second team right guard or whatever, that's a good thing and a bad thing all at once.
Sure, yeah.
All at once. It's always good news, bad news in a practice.
The push and pull.
Yeah, because it's not a real game. I mean, real games, it's either good news or bad news. Yeah. But anyway, let's just see what he says there. I was going to ask you about the proposed draft of players, but I think that's still in its formative stage in your thinking. When you're out there watching a practice like Saturday, we got to stand right behind you on occasions. What are you watching? Are you watching James Smith occasionally flash and have a couple of big plays? I mean, where do your eyes go? And then follow up on that. I mean, James Smith obviously got his black stripe off. Is he ahead of schedule? I mean, obviously he's from Alabama, et cetera. Just what are your thoughts in those moments?
Well, my first thought is don't say what you want to say right now because there's a lot of people watching. We have students there. We have parents there. We have a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs on these guys. So I'm going to just refrain from saying what's actually on my mind. I'm going to take a deep breath. And so we just got to sort of let the guys play because there's a lot of eyeballs on that day. And what am I looking at? I'm obviously watching the operation. I'm always watching the quarterback. But just trying to make sure everybody's staying up, making sure that when it's a live period or tackling, that when we transition to a thud period, guys are thudding, making sure that there's nothing going on, guys are staying away from the quarterback. Just in that moment with all those people there, I'm just trying to make sure that everybody's getting organized and we're getting the practice done correctly, and then get on the film and start doing the rest of it. But I like those type of days. I like those types of environments because we have to go play, and there's a lot of guys watching them, and emotions get high. It gets very, very competitive, and so you get a chance to see also when we're just calling the stuff who really knows what's going on, as opposed to reading a script and having an idea before you walk out there what exactly is going to get called.
And James, is he coming?
Yeah. So James has flashed. I think the biggest thing that Coach Jay is challenging James with is being able to sustain a high level of play for a long period of time, being disciplined in the defense. The plays will come to him, but you can see the talent. You can see how much he loves to play. I'm glad he's a Buckeye.
Yeah, that was pretty funny what he said. I mean, you do want to scream and holler and make sure things get fixed now, immediately. But the other thing about James Smith, the only reason I brought him up is he lost his black stripe right after that practice. I thought he had a really good practice.
He did.
John Walker lost his black stripe this week. Also, two big time, we'll find out, right? 2 big defensive tackles. They needed those guys to come through from the portal. They got no offensive linemen out of the portal, but they got a couple, 3 or 4 defensive line types. Quay Rousseau is an edge guy from Alabama also. But James Smith, man, it's just when you see it in front of your eyes, hey, this guy probably is going to play for this team this year. That's an interesting development in spring, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, you expect it, but still got to see it.
Yeah, you still have to see it. And there's no guarantee that even just because it doesn't happen in the spring that he won't, have a good fall camp and be ready to play. But to see it in the spring really bodes well because
we just talked about Oni Anwa and Taiwan Malone.
So the fact that he can take that into fall camp with some momentum already bodes well for him and certainly for the Ohio State defense as a result. I was standing in the late team portions of that student appreciation day practice. I was standing on the defensive sideline over there. So, players coming on and off the sideline, I kind of laughed at what Ryan Day said there about Larry Johnson needing to get James Smith able to play harder for longer.
Yeah.
And, I think back to that's what we heard about Caden McDonald heading into last season.
Exactly.
We knew in 2024, like Caden McDonald was a very important piece, it's kind of like a reserve for that, or that second group for the Ohio State defensive line. And the question coming into last year was, now in a featured role, could he sustain that level of play for 40 plays instead of 25 plays? And we found out that he could.
Yes.
And so credit to Larry Johnson for doing that. And I have every reason to believe that Larry Johnson's going to do that same thing for James Smith. And if he does that, the player that James Smith looks like he's going to be a real asset for Ohio State. But standing over on that sideline, I guess what I was going to get to is that I saw James Smith coming off of that field a few times. I mean, he was dragging. Like, it was a tough practice too. It was an intense practice, and they had a lot of reps out there, and he was dragging. So I'm not knocking that, but you could see like he's going to have to continue to work on the conditioning aspect of it, and again being able to sustain a high level of play for more plays. And like again, I have every reason to believe they're going to do that.
Yeah.
If he does that, that's a player for sure. And just I guess one more thing go ahead.
You hit
on it. Ohio State had to hit on getting a couple of defensive linemen in the portal. I don't know what Quay Russaw is going to be. He's a different player, obviously, than what James Smith and Walker are, but it looks like they have two guys there that they feel really good about in the interior of that defensive line, and they had to have it. So that might be one of the biggest developments of the spring.
A tree doesn't grow without the roots,
right?
And the roots are the defensive tackles. Right. I mean, I think Will Smith Jr. stepped up this spring also and stuff. I mean, so you got all these, these buds you planted 3 years ago, but then you brought in some transplants.
Yeah.
So sticking with the analogy.
I thought the interior defensive line was going to be the Achilles heel of the team last year, and I was wrong about that. But
everybody was.
Yeah. Now you're taking away a Caden McDonald type player as well. So I still think that the lack of depth, so to speak, is there, but maybe not.
Yeah, that's funny. A Caden McDonald. You're taking away a Caden McDonald, whereas fact this time a year ago.
Yeah, right.
What were you?
You were taking Tyleik Williams.
Tyleik Williams and Ty Hamilton, the two ties.
Yeah.
Ty goes to the runner.
Yeah.
They were national championship defensive tackles.
Sure,
that's all I got to say
yep.
about that. Hey, last thing we got to get out of here, but give me one guy. Don't go off, as I say. Don't do an Austin Ward on me, as I used to say when he was on my podcast a lot. Before all kinds of things happened. Yeah, Letterman Row, but way back when. But
all of 3 years.
Give me one guy who, boy, I didn't know that guy was that capable that you've heard of in the spring. We've rarely gotten to see him, but we did get to see him last Saturday, up close and personal. One guy you got your eye on that's going to make a difference for the Buckeyes this season, just based on what you've seen.
I don't know if it's an easy out or taking the easy route, but I was on the Bill and Doug show, Bill Anderson, Doug Maurice, the other day, and they one of the questions we talked about was, the biggest surprise, the one biggest surprise that you had this spring, and I said Earl Little. Now I thought Earl Little was a good player coming in. I thought Ohio State got a good player. The way he's being talked about, his versatility, the way they're going to be able to use him, the praise that he got from Jeremiah Smith, like the way that Ryan Day's gone out of his way a couple of times to mention Earl Little and what he's been in that defense already. I couldn't. If there is still stock to sell in Earl Little and it hasn't been bought yet, I'll buy it because I'm buying all of it. I think that he's going to be a massive, massive piece of another good Ohio State defense. And again, I'm not surprised that he's going to have a good drive. That I think that he's going to have a good career. I'm surprised that this early, this quickly, that he's becoming one of the true assets of and weapons of that defense.
Yeah, I mean, he gets it. He loves the Matt Patricia system.
Yeah.
He loves the Ohio State system. That's what's really interesting, the way he's bought into that. Yeah. Devin McEwen, the kid from UT San Antonio.
That was
now Legend Bay obviously wasn't there didn't get to take part on Saturday. Yeah. He's been banged up, the freshman, the sensation, so to speak. We'll see how he comes, but Devin McEwen, there is no doubt his resume is right. He is fast and quick, and they didn't have that. They haven't had that in a while.
Right.
Basically get it out to this guy and let him create something situation. And when he does, he may take it to the house.
Exactly.
I mean, Ryan Day has put an emphasis on they want some explosives, more explosives this year. Jeremiah Smith has put an emphasis on it.
Yeah.
And Devin McEwen, if you got to pay attention to this guy from the slot or wherever he ends up lining up, I mean, the more distraction you can take away from Jeremiah Smith, which is fine. Hard to believe you can do that, but you know what? You can't let the guy in the slot take it to the house either. So I think that is I think that's a shot, an inoculation they needed for this offense. And like I said, if they get right guard figured out, this offense has got some weapons, brother.
Agreed. Well, and I think the right guard conversation, like, in my opinion, if Ian Moore is who I think Ian Moore is, and he starts at left tackle, the right guard spot's figured out, because just put Austin Sierra back where I think he belongs.
Yeah.
And
he was there. He was there during the
exactly.
spring.
So
often.
So I think that's all figured out. Just real quick on Devin McCune. If you ask me who I think the most explosive players in Ohio State's talked about the need to be more explosive, who the most explosive players outside of Jeremiah Smith will be for this offense, I would give you 3 picks and take your pick, and they all 3 better and probably will be. But Bo Jackson needs to be better about making guys miss at the second level and be more explosive. Devin McCune, what I saw out of him at the Student Appreciation Day practice, a lot of the crossing routes, the mesh concepts, and what he did with the ball in his hands, after with the ball in his hands,
long handoff.
Yeah, exactly. A lot to be excited for. And then Legend Bay. We'll have time to talk about him later.
Right now, Legend Bay is pretty much a legend to us.
Yeah, right.
We'll see.
They need to get him back on the field.
We'll see if he becomes fact.
He's the real deal, folks, and people inside the Woody think that as well.
Hey, double down with Double D. You're the real deal too, Dillon. Thank you for coming on again, man.
I always enjoy it.
And I just got one word for you before we head to our golf game after we get through with interviews.
I know what it is.
4. We're trying to beat thunderstorms, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tim May. That's Dillon Davis of the Delaware Gazette, delgazette.com,
Yes, sir.
and does a hell of a job covering Ohio State. And as you can tell by his in-depth conversation here. But until next time, we'll see you then.